Welcome to Facing the Middle East, our news program that uncovers news in context. It's the place where you meet people you want to know. I'll take you through an exclusive visit of the new SAR-6 Israeli naval vessel and visit a company that has developed a camouflage fabric. We'll look at the Islamic holy month of Ramadan with a visit to the city of Ramallah at night. We begin with the Media Line's Maya Margit. Up next, a new camouflage kit developed by an Israeli company in cooperation with the Defense Ministry that could lead to a revolution in the battlefield. Let's take a look.
Strong, lightweight, and virtually undetectable, Israeli company Polaris Solutions is out to level the battlefield with the next generation of camouflage technology. In cooperation with the Defense Ministry, they've developed Kit 300, a unique material for multispectral concealment.
Can you see me? How about now? What you see behind me are not real rocks. These are hollow, and it's made out of the special TVC material that Polaris Solutions developed, which can also double up as a stretcher.
TVC stands for Thermal Visual Concealment. It's used in counter-surveillance for a wide variety of military purposes. It's part of what Polaris Solutions calls Concept 300, known internationally as JAGHide. According to the company, there's nothing else like it on the market today.
As far as we know, or as far as we saw in other armies around the world, we are very unique to that matter. And to establish that, we actually registered the patent on it in many, many countries around the world.
The idea for Kit 300 was born in 2006, during the Second Lebanon War. Asaf Pichota was in a special IDF unit at the time. He saw firsthand that soldiers on the ground needed better protection from their enemies' thermal cameras and night vision equipment. Polaris Solutions was founded a few years later and has many former IDF soldiers with battle experience.
Camouflage nets haven't changed too much in the past 50 years, and we wanted to bring in a new type of material. So we went under way of development, and the TVC was born.
Each Kit 300 sheet has two sides of coloration, one for dense vegetation and the other for more desert-like landscapes. It can be molded into three-dimensional shapes and can also provide shelter.
It also has additional value in medical use. It could be a stretcher. You could carry 250 kilos with it. It could be good for broken bone fixation and also as a hypothermia blanket.
So far, Polaris Solutions is working with the Israeli defense industry as well as other government agencies abroad, including special forces units in both Canada and the United States.
Our products are being tested by some of SF units, which I cannot name, and we have several mutual operations there.
Though TVC is unique, Canadian tech company HyperStealth has come up with its own incredible light-bending military solution, what it calls a broadband invisibility cloak. Invisibility was once the realm of science fiction, but Polaris Solutions claims we're only a few years away from the real deal.
It's going to take about, I think, 5 to 10 years to have a real deep tech technology into that line of products. And we are a part of that process as well.
Shielding troops from enemies might soon mean making them disappear before our very eyes.
From Kibbutz Metzer in northern Israel, Maya Margit reporting for the Media Line.
Do you trust your news sources? Are you tired of one-sided reporting? You need to know the Media Line to know the Middle East.
The world needs news you can trust.
The Media Line's reporters are in the streets of Cairo, Jerusalem, Ramallah, and Sana'a, bringing you stories in context which shape your views and decisions. The Media Line is the first independent, non-profit American news agency covering the Middle East. Now in its 20th year, it's the best-kept secret in the news business. Discover for yourself why the Media Line is relied upon by government officials and media outlets worldwide.
Bringing you the stories which impact your lives.
Support the trusted Mideast news source today by going to themedialine.org. You need to know the Media Line to know the Middle East.
One can imagine the difference 20 years makes, and if that double decade relates to the development of weapon systems by a technical giant such as the State of Israel, the results can be expected to be impressive. The media line was given exclusive access to Israel's latest naval vessel, the SAR-6. Picture a floating platform that holds all of the remarkable offensive and defensive systems the Israelis are known for, including the Iron Dome anti-missile system, which has been seen as a true game changer since it was introduced here. In the naval version, the goal is to prevent missiles from landing on the natural gas platforms at sea. Since its discovery, the gas fields have become key national assets, but also big, tempting targets for Israel's enemies. In speaking to Lieutenant Colonel Liav Zilberman, Deputy Chief of the Haifa Marina, we learned that aside from the tremendous array of state-of-the-art weaponry, the SAR-6 has also applied modern thinking to the social realities of a navy. First and foremost, that means women aboard the ship. But unlike after-the-fact solutions to new problems, the SAR-6 is built with facilities for the Navy's female sailors. There were no surprises when it came to threat analysis. The time bomb ticking the loudest is that of Lebanon-based Iranian-backed Hezbollah, the terrorist group with whom Israel has gone to war and arguably the least stable of the Jewish state's enemies. As it was explained to us, we take under consideration all the players, but this is the first thing, the northern border. The SAR-6 is not yet on active duty. It's still being tested, readied, and is having its new systems installed. Although it was built in Germany by a German shipbuilder, the design is Israeli, as are all of the technical fittings and weapon systems. The 20-year gap since the last new ship is a lifetime, although modifications and retrofitting are a matter of course. The challenge is great, a marine-based system with both offensive and defensive capabilities. To say versatile vessel only begins the conversation. A new facility is opening to accommodate Holocaust survivors. Maya Margit takes a peek.
Judith Hershkovitz was only 15 years old when she was sent to Auschwitz-Birkenau, the notorious Nazi death camp. Born in Hungary in 1928, she survived through one of the darkest chapters of modern history.
The Nazis came to Hungary in 1944 when their killing machine was already well-oiled. They took my entire family, my parents, grandmother, brother, and sister. First off, they collected us and put us into the ghettos, and from there on to transports. When we got to Auschwitz-Birkenau, the selection began. Men were on one side and women on the other.
While inside the camp, Hershkovitz was separated from her loved ones.
I was put to work in the camp, and since then I have no idea what happened to my family. I was liberated and sent to a hospital in Germany. I hoped I would find my family back in Hungary. We were under the illusion that our parents were sent to work somewhere and that we would be able to see them again.
But she never did manage to find her family. In fact, this is the only picture she has left of them. After the war, Hershkovitz immigrated to the newly formed State of Israel. Now 93 years old, she lives in a special housing complex with other Holocaust survivors in the northern port city of Haifa. Here she gets 3 hot meals a day, medical assistance, and a place to socialize.
I found people I can speak a common language with. Even though they may not have been at the same camp I was in, they also went through the war. I'm happy here.
The housing complex is part of a project that was launched over a decade ago by Israeli NGO Yad Ezer Lechaver with the help of the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem, or ICEJ, an evangelical Christian organization in Israel. Over the years, they've built homes for survivors thanks to donations and with the help of volunteers.
We started to bring, people from abroad, especially from Germany, to renovate the buildings that we bought. So we started to have this wonderful thing that Jewish people and Christians started to work together.
100 Holocaust survivors call this place home. Most live here for free or pay a very small amount of rent. Nearly 180,000 Holocaust survivors live in Israel. Of those, about a quarter are living in poverty. Renate Kaufmann, 83, also lives here. Born in Germany, her parents helped her escape the Nazis by hiding her in a small village for the entirety of the war. Unfortunately, the woman who took Kaufmann in was not so kind-hearted.
So I was very unhappy there. The lady was very nervous and beat me almost every day, and that's why I'm crippled. She took a big, like a baseball bat, big spoon, and hit it over my back, over a lie, which I didn't do.
After the war, Kaufmann lived in the United States, in Colorado and New York, for over 50 years. But she recently decided she wanted to spend her dying days in Israel.
Now I have peace. The people I meet are very friendly, and the staff here couldn't be any better.
But supply just can't seem to keep up with demand at this housing facility.
There are more than 500 Holocaust survivors who are on the wait list and want to come live here. We don't have room.
For Shimon Sabag, a son of Holocaust survivors himself, the goal is to give people who've endured so much the chance to live their last days in dignity.
There's not much time left to help Holocaust survivors. Now is the time to right this historic wrong. Unfortunately, in a few more years, we won't be able to help Holocaust survivors, even if we'd want to. Most of them are over 90 years old, so now is the time to help.
From the city of Haifa, northern Israel, Maya Margit reporting for the Media Line.
Do you trust your news sources? Are you tired of one-sided reporting? You need to know the Media Line to know the Middle East.
The world needs news you can trust.
The Media Line's reporters are in the streets of Cairo, Jerusalem, Ramallah, and Sana'a, bringing you stories in context which shape your views and decisions. The Media Line is the first independent, non-profit American news agency covering the Middle East. Now in its 20th year, it's the best-kept secret in the news business. Discover for yourself why the Media Line is relied upon by government officials and media outlets worldwide.
Bringing you the stories which impact your lives.
Support the trusted Mideast news source today by going to themedialine.org. You need to know the Media Line to know the Middle East.
It is often said that water will provide the spark that ignites the next Middle East war. And as tension continues to rise between Ethiopia on one hand and Egypt and Sudan on the other over Addis Ababa's controversial Great Renaissance Dam, fear grows that if talks collapse, a military confrontation will follow. Let's take a look with Mohammed Al-Qasim's explainer.
Negotiations between Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia over Addis Ababa's massive dam have reached an impasse, and many fear that military confrontation is imminent. Egypt calls the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam an existential threat. Ethiopia says Egypt and Sudan have nothing to worry about. With all sides standing their ground, what if Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi follows through on his threat to use all means, including force? How do Egypt and Ethiopia stack up against each other militarily? Here is a comparison between the Egyptian and Ethiopian militaries. The Egyptian army ranks 9th out of 138 armies around the world, while the Ethiopian army ranks 60th. The Egyptian Air Force owns 1,053 assorted military aircraft, including 250 fighter jets, 59 transport aircraft, 341 trainers, 304 helicopters, and 91 attack helicopters. The Ethiopian Air Force, on the other hand, has only 92 aircraft, 24 of which are fighter jets, 26 are trainers, 9 are transport planes, 33 are helicopters, and 8 are attack helicopters. The Egyptian army has the upper hand when it comes to tanks, with 3,735 tanks, 11,000 armored vehicles, more than 1,100 self-propelled artillery, and 2,200 field artillery. The Ethiopian army has 365 tanks, 130 armored vehicles, 65 self-propelled artillery, and 480 pieces of field artillery. The Egyptian naval fleet includes more than 300 marine vessels, including 2 helicopter carriers, 7 corvettes, and 8 submarines, in addition to 50 patrol ships and 9 frigates. Ethiopia, on the other hand, a landlocked country, does not have a naval fleet. The defense budget of the Egyptian military is about $10 billion, compared to only $520 million for the Ethiopian defense budget. The Egyptian military has about 1,330,000 soldiers, including 450,000 in active service, 480,000 in reserve, and 400,000 paramilitary personnel. The Ethiopian army has a total of 162,000 soldiers, all of them in active service. The country has no reserve force.
For more explainers, go to themedialine.org.
Do you trust your news sources? Are you tired of one-sided reporting? You need to know the Media Line to know the Middle East.
The world needs news you can trust.
The Media Line's reporters are in the streets of Cairo, Jerusalem, Ramallah, and Sana'a, bringing you stories in context which shape your views and decisions. The Media Line is the first independent, non-profit American news agency covering the Middle East. Now in its 20th year, it's the best-kept secret in the news business. Discover for yourself why the Media Line is relied upon by government officials and media outlets worldwide.
Bringing you the stories which impact your lives.
Support the trusted Mideast news source today by going to themedialine.org. You need to know the Media Line to know the Middle East.
Ramadan is a month-long holy month where people abstain from eating, drinking, smoking from sunrise to sundown. People tend to break their fast in different ways, some at home, some in restaurants.
This was the scene during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan in Jerusalem's Old City last year. What a difference a year makes. The last time the ancient alleyways of Jerusalem's Old City were packed this way, no one had heard of the coronavirus.
Last year was catastrophic for shopkeepers. I hope it doesn't repeat itself. Shops and mosques were closed, but we are upbeat. There is good turnout by shoppers.
Halawani, whose shop is a fixture in the Old City, says this Ramadan things are looking up.
Shopkeepers may lose money for 11 months, but during this month, it is possible to make up for it, and so stay solvent and in business for several more months.
Last year, health restrictions put a damper on spirits during Islam's holiest month with a lockdown. Visiting the Old City and praying at the Al-Aqsa Mosque were forbidden. With many restrictions due to the coronavirus now lifted, foot traffic here is noticeably up over last year, and the familiar Ramadan economic boost seems to be gradually returning to Jerusalem's Old City. This is a pleasant sight for many shopkeepers who pray the holy month will provide financial relief after a devastating year. Ramadan, when Muslims refrain from eating and drinking from sunrise to sunset and gather for festive, fast-breaking meals and to exchange gifts at night. In the absence of foreign visitors not allowed entry to the country, Palestinian citizens of Israel have come to the rescue.
We support Jerusalem and want to keep it full of people. COVID prevented us from being at Al-Aqsa last year, but conditions are better now. We love to come to visit Jerusalem and buy things at the market.
Imad Dahle from Turan, near the city of Nazareth, drove more than 100 miles with his family to visit the city.
Praise be to God. The commercial movement and the Ramadan preparations are better than last year. There were long shutdowns and it was tough on us. I'm feeling optimistic because we will be open during Ramadan and there will be prayers at Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Abu Ammar Sidr, who lives a mere few yards from Al-Aqsa, appreciates people like Dahlan and Ighbariya.
May God reward them with good and keep them as supporters of Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Less than a mile from Al-Aqsa, the family-owned Al-Najah Sweets, located on the Via della Rosa, is back working on all cylinders, stocking up on ingredients for Ramadan's most popular item, qataif.
Last year, the old city was miserable. Shops, merchants, and the people were sad. Thank God, this year the feeling is beautiful, and shoppers are returning to the old city.
Muhammad Al-Qasim, reporting for the Media Line, Jerusalem's Old City.
Our Dream segment showcases young, dynamic youth who are changing the Middle East for the better. This program, we focus on Stephanie Khoury. She comes from Lebanese and Palestinian parents, but today resides in the United Arab Emirates. She's co-founder of Home Hub Middle East, an online e-commerce platform, but her bachelor degree was in criminal justice. Stephanie Khoury, thank you so much for joining me here today on Facing the Middle East.
Thank you for having me, Felice. It's so exciting.
Well, since we're doing a Zoom interview and lots of things are on the internet, you saw a need to open up a one-stop shop for the Middle East for home furnishings. How did you get there? How did you think about that concept?
I think initially what happened was that I was realizing that there were incredibly talented people all over, of course, but a lot in this region, and they didn't actually have a platform to display their work, a platform that's going to support their growth and get them to customers that at the end of the day are looking for them. They just don't know how to find them. And that's where the idea came from, really. It was two things that needed to be done, and I just married them.
You are familiar with the West. You were born in California. So did you consider any other existing business that you gleaned this concept from?
Yeah, look, I'll tell you, when Etsy started, that was something that was really interesting and exciting to me as a shopper. But then also I thought, maybe one day with something that I like to dabble in, I like to paint, or my mom's a painter, my sister does these, it's not macrame, it's kind of a knitting sort of thing. So Etsy was a great way to discover other people out there and their talent and buy it and get it. There was also Not on the High Street, which is UK based. Just the most amazing things on there, and I love that they're mom and pop stores, or they're just, single girls or working mothers. They're on there, and you get to really buy these beautiful, unique things that you just don't find in malls. So I've been a shopper.
What existed in the Middle East?
In Instagram, kind of, you have the markets, so you have physical markets, which is all, well and good, but it's not enough. It's not on a large scale. It's not everyone that can take part and participate. You do have, out here at least, you do have fees to join these kind of pop-up market things. There wasn't really anything other than these kind of physical markets. There wasn't anything really online, which is why I was shopping on Etsy and on Not on the High Street. So
you're a serial entrepreneur. You've been listed on Forbes 30, 4-Leaf Clover, and Nomadic are among some of the companies that you created.
Yeah.
What gap did these companies fill?
4-Leaf Clover, I started with my mom and my sisters, and we were at the time, we just moved to Dubai, and there wasn't anything in terms of cutlery or stationery for left-handed people, because they do have different needs. You just think about scissors, how we hold them as right-handed people and how they need to hold them as left-handed people. So we started 4-Leaf Clover primarily for left-handed people, and we were the first and only shop at the time that had that. And we also were the first to bring in body jewelry for piercings. So it was a bit strange. It's a bit of a weird mix, but it worked.
Are you left-handed?
My sister is. So, writes with the elbow up and just can't cut really on a straight line with right-handed scissors. So yeah, it was, again, there was something missing, and we just brought it.
How is the company today doing? I think people look at startups and young people like yourself, they want to get inspired to have their own creations. But of course, there are hit and miss in every business. Where are you today?
Where Home Hub is?
Yes.
Okay. So Home Hub is under 2 years old. That's young. That's really young. It seems like a long time, and honestly, sometimes it feels like a long time because you kind of just want to get there and hit those goals and knock them out and, come up with new ones. We are on a steady incline in terms of customers, in terms of vendors. We're going up really nicely. Slowly but surely, we're on our way up. And we've had a tough year. Everybody has, of course. Being online, that really helped us. But, our vendors were very affected. A lot of them lost their jobs. They couldn't dedicate the time it needed to joining Home Hub. So we really had to put in extra resources to jump in there and help them out and onboard them. And
how many companies are involved? Meaning, how many individual artisans?
So between artisans and artists and SMEs, we have around 70 plus, I would say now. Yeah.
And what are your dreams?
I want them all on board. And I want, it's really one of my favorite phrases is do well by doing good. I want to do well. That's the goal, right? But I want them to do well. And just that we keep on kind of growing together, larger and bigger and better, but together. That's really important to me, honestly. And I want it to be the place you go for things that you want for your home, that you want to make sure, my neighbor doesn't have the same table or my sister doesn't have the same couch. Like, we have the same furniture over here. It's wrong. I see something missing and I want to tackle it.
What's your advice to the next young entrepreneur who's watching you now thinking, I can do that?
You can. I'm very pro taking that. I think an entrepreneur has a little something in their belly. Okay. It's a little fire that a 9-to-5, although you learn so much from a 9-to-5, but a 9-to-5 it won't extinguish that. That little fire doesn't go out. Go for it. Study your ideas, study the market, whatever it is. Talk to people, listen to people, listen to them, listen to their advice. Don't be the most talkative person in the room, but go for it. Absolutely.
Stephanie Khoury, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Facing the Middle East and continue dreaming.
Thank you, Felice. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Really, I do. You've been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Facing the Middle East, where we unlock the hidden truths of the world's most contentious region. Join us at themedialine.org for news you need to know and trust.
News needs trained journalists. The Media Line, the first American nonprofit news agency covering the Middle East, has mentored scores of students from prestigious American universities and around the globe. We are one of the best-kept secrets. Universities are partners. Students receive credit. In order to bring you trusted news, we need support for our future journalists. Please make your tax-deductible gift today. Go to themedialine.org.